What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day, and it's another episode of the Trust the Bank podcast. And it's coming out on a special day. It is actually coming out on the anniversary of the Baltimore Ravens. And so, Joshua, before we get into the great topics that we have today, and if you guys are watching this on, YouTube, check out the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, check out the YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Joshua, let's celebrate a little bit. Let's talk about being a Ravens fan. Do you have a moment? What's the best thing that's happened? Being a Ravens fan, could be winning the Super Bowl, could be, I don't know. What is it?
Oh man, you know what? Being a Ravens fan, you have so many moments of either having 911 on speed dial, maybe having Pepto Bismol, Tylenol on hand, because that's the type of games the Ravens used to play. I mean, let's think about the quarterback play. We had Trent Dilfer at one time, Elvis Gerback, Kyle Bowler, that was once dating the coach's daughter. The list goes on and on. But I say one of my, most favorite moments was watching Ed Reed. Ed Reed doing the 106, 109 yards?
107. Yeah.
Okay. Interception return. I think the QB at the time for the Philadelphia Eagles was Kevin Kolb. I know it was number 4.
Yeah.
I mean, he took it to the house. He ran into the he was pretty much on that sideline and he was going up the field. And then maybe my second favorite Ravens moment was, I don't know if that was a playoff game or not, but it's when we played against the Patriots and Bernard Pollard made Shane Vereen do a split.
Those are some good moments. Yeah. For me, it has to be when I don't know how old I was at this point. But I remember as a kid, I had a bedtime on Sunday night. I had to wake up, get ready for school, that type of thing. And I remember the Ravens were playing on Sunday Night Football. Yeah. Me being a Ravens fan, I wanted to watch the Ravens. The Ravens were playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. We got some Joe Flacco, some Big Ben action. Okay. This is a very young Joe Flacco. It may have been rookie year. I don't know the exact year, guys. I probably could have looked it up, but this is an impromptu discussion. But the game ends with Torrey Smith catching the game winner in the back of the end zone, and I never saw it. I was told to go to bed with probably 8 minutes left in that game. So I go up to my bed. I turn on my AM radio, and I am listening to ESPN. Was it ESPN 1080 The Fan or whatever it is? They were playing it on Sunday Night Football. I listened to the broadcast. I listened to it. I did not see that play until maybe 3 years ago. Actually saw the highlight of it. Yeah. It went completely differently in my head. My whole thought process on it. But I just remember that moment is one of my favorite. That's probably my favorite memory as a Ravens fan, because I'm just laying in bed, just so come on, go. And I always grew up watching games on the TV. I never listened to radio for games. I've listened to a couple, when driving and stuff like that. But I just remember that moment as I was so excited. And I remember waking up the next morning and I was like, yeah, Dad, I was listening to it on the radio and I was screaming up and down. I definitely, sending me to bed early did not make me go to bed early whatsoever. I was listening to that game.
I would not lie to you. Listen to games on the radio. The vivid image that they give you is so surreal.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's so different from watching it. But they give you that energy. I mean, I didn't watch a couple games. Leaving church, or listening to a couple games. In the car from leaving church on Sundays, and the energy from the radio to the energy to getting in the house and watching on TV is almost the same, depending on who you listen to and what radio station you're listening to. So another memorable game would be the game in the snow, us against Minnesota.
Whew.
That was a good one.
That was a wild one. I'm a Stanford fan, so I will always hold a place in my heart for Toby Gerhardt's 40-yard touchdown against the Ravens. The only NFL highlight that man ever had. We still got the win, though. That was a great game. But, guys, in the comment section down below, tell us your favorite Ravens. memory. Technically, I think this will get uploaded. It'll definitely be uploaded on the podcast by tomorrow on Spotify and stuff like that. But I don't know when the YouTube segments will come out because tomorrow we'll be doing the live stream and stuff like that. But, let us know your favorite Ravens memory. Maybe you have a future memory that you're expecting. My favorite memory is going to be Lamar Jackson winning the Super Bowl or whatever it is. We want to hear that stuff. But let's get into, the first true segment outside of that long introduction. Big news today. The Baltimore Ravens have extended, not Lamar Jackson, so I'm not as excited. They have extended John Harbaugh. Now, Joshua, do you want to take this one first? Because I got to say, I will be ranting.
I think I'll go ahead and take a stab at it.
Okay.
So Ravens family, Ravens flock, I know there's a lot of people, whether you all are Ravens fans or not, that feels like John Harbaugh is a top 5 coach. Hey, we can argue that all day, all long. Do I feel like he's a top 10 coach? Yeah, but I feel like he's on the bottom 10 on the top 10. Right now, in this day and age, do I feel like he's the best fit head coach to lead this team into another Super Bowl? No, I do not. Once I heard the 3-year extension, I'll be honest, I was very upset. I actually looking forward to hearing the Bobby Wagner signing, or like McConnell said, Lamar Jackson finally get signed. I mean, Steve Bashad, he stands behind keeping John Harbaugh here and things of that nature. That's totally cool. That's great and everything like that. Also, we have to be real about ourselves. We have to be real about the situation. And for all the 14 years that John Harbaugh has gave us, he's had some, playoff appearances. We got the Super Bowl, but honestly, that Super Bowl appearance and that Super Bowl win was literally on the back of, one of the greatest linebackers that was retiring, and also that offense was pretty good. They made something happen out of nothing, literally almost every game of that playoff. And we know how Joe Cool plays in the playoffs, damn near superb. So, John Harbaugh, he's a leader amongst men. He's the one that can raise the sword, give you a great speech. But he's also a guy that's not an X's and O's guy too. And I don't know about you, McConnell, but I saw too many times where we went for 2 or we went for 4 on 4th, and we didn't come through. But he stood on his decision after the game conference, presser. And this is when you're a fool, you have to not look like a fool. And sometimes, John Harbaugh has been made look like a fool a couple of times, and he got to stand and with his chest out, with the bravado that he brings, and make sure he's not crazy. Let's talk about some more times with John Harbaugh where he done pull guys out for one mistake. He didn't talk about guys in the presser. If I don't know who I'm talking about young Tyshawn Williams, who we got on a reserve deal, and who, funny, that might be seeing some playing time till Gus and JK comes back. I find that very interesting. I mean, we could talk about James Prochet, another healthy scratch that was making, some promise and finally showing that, like, hey, I belong here. I can make the catches. I can move the chains. Let's not also forget that when John Harbaugh did started his tenure here at the Ravens organization, he was also bumping heads with another future Hall of Famer, one of the best safeties that ever played this game. So, John has his highs, he has his goods, but in my opinion, he definitely have a lot of highs. He definitely have a lot of lows, because 2018, they didn't put a certain young man in the game and get them to the playoffs, he would have been out of here. So do I really agree with the 3-year extension? No, I don't.
When I first saw this news, I was very disappointed. I was very upset. I was very angry at the Baltimore Ravens. I wasn't expecting a contract extension, and then I saw it and I'm upset. I think that this is one of the dumbest, the worst possible things that the Baltimore Ravens have done. Now, I want to quickly preface this rant by saying I like John Harbaugh. I have nothing against John Harbaugh. And I want to point out, I think if the Ravens are trying to extend John Harbaugh in order to get Lamar Jackson to sign that contract extension, that is the only positive that I can see out of this extension is, hey, Lamar, your coach is here to stay, as far as we know. But outside of that, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely zero sense. Now, I understand, yes, John Harbaugh is a solid coach in the NFL. He's not horrible. He's not like, Jason Garrett when he was in Dallas, or, so many coaches that we see, Urban Meyer, these horrible coaches. He's not a horrible coach. However, when you are trying to build a dynasty, you look at the history of dynasties in NFL, in sports history. You are not looking at, oh, that guy was a fringe coach, fringe top 10. You look at NFL, who were the greatest dynasties? Shanahan, Bill Belichick, Landry. These are the greatest of all time. You look at the NBA. You've got Phil Jackson.
Yep.
You have
Pat
Phil
Riley.
Jackson. Yes, Pat Riley.
Greg Popovich,
all these guys that are winning championships. Then you look at a guy that we've compared to Lamar Jackson to a little bit. He was on his show recently, LeBron James. LeBron James. When did he win multiple championships? Who was it under? Eric Spoelstra, one of the recognized best coaches in the NBA. Well, then he goes back to Cleveland, and he has coaches in and out, and they keep changing because they're trying to get a good coach. Even though you have LeBron James, you still need a very good coach. Okay? And yeah, he got Ty Lue, and he won one. He won one with Ty Lue. He has now
Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel, yes. And they may not even make the playoffs anymore. They are struggling. Frank Vogel, he's not a horrible coach, but he's not a great coach. He's not a top 5 coach, a top 3 coach by any means. So you're not going to be able to have the dynasty that they are trying to build. The Baltimore Ravens, their goal is to be a dynasty. Every team's goal is to be a dynasty, but the Ravens are one of the unique teams that have the quality of player that you need to have that dynasty. 85% of teams don't have that, right? I would say maybe 5 teams. Maybe 5 teams have a player that will be able to get them a dynasty. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have Mahomes. Mm-hmm. The Bills, I'll say they have Josh Allen. I think he's spectacular. I'll fringe and say the Browns with Deshaun Watson, but Watson has so many questions that I don't really want to say the Browns yet. But, and then the Rams have Aaron Donald. And that's it, right? What do all of those other teams have in common? They have better coaches than the Baltimore Ravens. McDermott in Buffalo is better than John Harbaugh. You look at Sean McVay in Los Angeles. He's much better than John Harbaugh. You have Andy Reid, probably a top 3 coach in the NFL, much better than John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is a good coach, but the Baltimore Ravens need a great coach that will be able to transcend their team and build something great. When you were looking back at the greatest players of all time, what hindered them? Let's look at, in my opinion, the best quarterback ever. Not the greatest because he didn't win as much. The best quarterback in NFL history is Peyton Manning, in my opinion. If I could take one guy, I'm taking the Sheriff. He had Tony Dungy.
Yep.
A good coach. Who was he going up against? Tom Brady, with the best coach. It was almost impossible for a great quarterback, the best quarterback in the NFL, the most MVPs in history, to get past a great quarterback with the greatest coach. Because that's what Lamar Jackson's now having to do, because he's having to go against not only Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, but also Andy Reid, arguably the best head coach in the NFL. Your quarterback cannot carry that duo in the AFC. John Harbaugh came from the Andy Reid coaching tree. Mm-hmm. It is almost impossible for a guy coming from someone's coaching tree to be better than them. There's so many examples in the NFL right now. Bill Belichick, we see the stats every year. Bill Belichick, one loss against former coaches of his, or maybe he's never lost. I honestly don't know. We see Nick Saban at Alabama. Oh, Nick Saban's lost one game in college football against a former assistant of his. We can look at Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Who comes from his coaching tree? Matt LaFleur, great coach. Sean McVay, great coach. The LA Rams have one win against the San Francisco 49ers in the last 4 years. The Packers almost every time get slaughtered by the San Francisco 49ers. Why? Because they are trying to beat Shanahan at Shanahan's game. It's so difficult. John Harbaugh, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but when you're trying to win in the AFC against, I'm going to say it, I don't think Ravens fans will get too upset with me, Patrick Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying that will be like that for the rest of their career, but at this point, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So, how can Lamar Jackson beat Patrick Mahomes? Well, he's got to get that scheme. He's got to get the team. The scheme is a beta version, or at least the ideas and the concepts are a beta version of what Patrick Mahomes gets to have with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. I mean, that is just so much better, and John Harbaugh is not changing things. Greg Roman has never won a Super Bowl, unless you count the Super Bowl he won for the Ravens back when he was the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, because that man had Frank Gore. He gets inside the goal line and he says, oh, Colin Kaepernick, you're a great quarterback. I like Colin Kaepernick. No shade towards Colin Kaepernick whatsoever. Colin Kaepernick had a weakness. He was terrible at throwing fades. That was not a specialty of his. He didn't have that precision. He had a rocket of an arm. He could run. He could scramble. He could do a lot of things. Throwing a fade was not one. Greg Roman said, hey, let's throw 4 fades. And look at that. The Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl off of a Jimmy Smith, pass defense against Michael Crabtree.
Yep.
John Harbaugh is not doing things that will be able to create a dynasty. He's doing things to save his ass. Very different things. There are things, when you look at it and you talk to so many coaches, and, there was an age-old question asked to Russell Westbrook, after a game against the Utah Jazz, and the reporter says, Russ, did you win this game? Or did the Jazz win this game, or did you lose this one? And Russ gives us his iconic, bro, what? The biggest thing is, when you think about that, if you didn't play sports, you may not have heard that. But there's such a great mantra of don't play not to lose, play to win. You need to take that victory. You don't want to sit back and let the other team come back. John Harbaugh is playing safe. He's playing not to lose, because he will lose his job if he tries to do too many things and it doesn't work out. But at the same time, the Ravens will not be great unless they are doing something to win, to build that dynasty. Eric DeCosta has started it. Eric DeCosta has been very, very reserved and conservative in free agency. You look at the moves that he's consistently made. Okay, we'll bring in a Calais Campbell. I'm not saying these are bad moves by any means, but okay, we'll bring in a Calais Campbell. He's relatively cheaper. All right, we'll draft some guys. All right, we're all set. What does he do this offseason? Marcus Williams, one of the biggest free agent signings in Baltimore Ravens history. You come in. Hey, Zadarius Smith, we're offering you a big deal. He goes, okay. He ends up backing out, but they still made that offer. They still wanted to get him. They made that offer. They tried. They didn't get him. He goes, oh, no, we lost out on Zadarius Smith. Pivot. Let's go with Michael Pierce. There we go. Eric DeCosta is making moves to win. John Harbaugh is most definitely not making moves to win. He's sitting there and saying, oh, yeah, we got Greg Roman. And, we're getting back together. We're gonna keep improving our scheme. I have not seen improvement in the scheme. There's been zero improvement, because John Harbaugh's, and we've talked about this before, Greg Roman is not horrible. He's horrible if you're trying to win the Super Bowl. That's what he's horrible at.
He's horrible with a passing scheme as well.
He's going to get you 9, 10, 11 wins, a really solid offense. That's what he's going to get you. And that'll get the Ravens to the playoffs. And that'll keep John Harbaugh's job. But what do we see in the playoffs every single year? The Baltimore Ravens scheme falls apart. Oh no, they couldn't beat the Titans because they took out Gus Edwards after Mark Ingram got hurt. They were like, "Oh no, we're all done running the football." Then they get against the Bills and they're like, no, let's not do that." They play against the Kansas City Chiefs and they're like, "Whoa, stay away, Patrick Mahomes." They are not doing the things that they need to do, because how do you beat the Kansas City Chiefs? You don't play scared of Mahomes. That's not how you beat them. How do you beat them? You attack them head on. You bite the nail off the head, right? You don't kill a lion by hiding in the trees. You kill a lion by running up to it, with your weapon and taking it down. Now, maybe you don't want to get into a fist fight, but you use whatever lion killing weapon you have. We have that weapon. His name's Lamar Jackson. But they don't try and utilize him. Beating the Kansas City Chiefs and trying to build a dynasty, and the Chiefs, maybe they're not the dynasty anymore, but whatever team is the new dynasty in the AFC, you have to attack them, not allow them to get stronger while you continue to do the exact same thing. And extending John Harbaugh for another 3 years just perpetuates the mediocrity that he is bringing to this organization when it comes to success in the postseason. Guys, the biggest thing that I need to say is John Harbaugh's not bad. I want to emphasize that with this rant. It's not saying he's bad. It's just saying that he's enough to get to the playoffs, maybe win a game. It's not enough to win a Super Bowl. Am I saying he can't win a Super Bowl? No. I'm saying that with what the Ravens currently do, which it doesn't look like John Harbaugh is trying to change that, they are not going to win a Super Bowl. That is the biggest thing. Eric DeCosta is playing to win. John Harbaugh is playing to not lose. And by not lose, it's not a not lose the game. It's a not lose his job. That is the biggest thing with John Harbaugh. That is why I'm frustrated, is because it's the Ravens saying, "Hey, you've done enough for us." But that's not enough. Joshua, I'm going to ask you right now, would you rather go to the playoffs every year and not win, or be really bad and get a top 5 pick in the draft? And then, you get that great player and boom, all of a sudden you can be a lot better. What would you rather be? Perpetual losing in the first round of the playoffs, or up and down roller coaster?
At this point, I'd rather pull a New York Jets or a Washington Commanders move and tank. Give me that top. Put me in the top 10 spot. Put me in the top 3 spot. Because at this point, it's frustrating. For the simple fact that yes, we had arguably one of the best offenses in 2019, but like you said, we never did anything to build on it. No, all we did. What did we do the next years? Oh yeah, we're just gonna come out, run the same thing, him in the mouth. All right, let's go. What was being said? Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson being figured out. No, our 2 coaches that share the same brain is being figured out right now. Our head coach and our offensive coordinator is that shares the same brain is being figured out. It's it's okay to be aggressive. I'm not totally all against him being aggressive. We're going for the 2-point conversion. Sometimes even though you got the best kicker in the NFL and you have him just sitting up warming up, you just tell him to sit on down instead of just getting the 3. Hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But at the same time, it's like, are you really with the team? And when I say, are you really with the team, it's one thing like, yeah, the guys really want to go for it. But at the same time, when do you say, you know what, as a coach, let me put my thinking cap on. I have one of the best kickers in the league, AJT. Go out there, give me 3 points. You know what, Lamar? Come on down, sit it on down. Tyshawn, I know you fumble, baby, but I need you to tuck that ball in next time, and I need you to run hard. I need a touchdown out of you. Come on, I need that type of inspiration. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with scolding your guys and teaching them up, but at the same time, you can't keep on taking away from these young men as well. Because the more you take away from these men, the more they're not going to be receptive of what you're trying to instill or what you're trying to teach to them. And I think that's a big thing that we never really speak about. We get it. As a coach and as a player, sometimes as a player, it's different. Game time, game speed, what you're actually experiencing is very different than what the coach is actually seeing. So sometimes, yes, you get in those heated battles, you get in a heated argument, but not once have I seen, what have I seen when my QB comes to the sideline mad and ticked off, because we wasn't able to get the touchdown, or we go out on 4th and 1, that my head coach come and say to him, what is really going on, and what can we do to make this game better so we can win? I have not seen that yet, or at least the cameras haven't showed that. Because at the end of the day, I know as a coach, I'm asking my players, what's really going on out there? What's happening? What are you seeing? If you're telling me, okay, they're coming with a zero blitz, hey Greg, let me get on the phone. Greg, what are you doing? I need some slant routes to the middle. The middle is open. Come on, throw the ball. And we don't never see anyone being held accountable as far as the coaching staff. And we talked about that previously before.
Yeah.
So it frustrates me when you can scold the players, or they can be healthy scratches, or you don't see these guys for the rest of the game, but yet, Wink Martindale has gone in a different direction. So you have a falling out with your defense coordinator when, sometimes, I guess, do we really give him a pass because, half of your secondary was out? I guess we can do that. Whereas your offensive coordinator, yeah, we had another injury. We had a lot of injuries on that side, but even before the injuries, he still did the same things. If your quarterback comes to you on the sideline, like, hey, they actually know our plays, why is nothing being changed or implemented for the upcoming week or during halftime in order for us to put us in a better winning position? At this point, it's Lamar Jackson and company that puts us in a better winning position to keep us in the game. It is not the coaching scheme at all. So right now, do I feel like he deserves it? No, he really doesn't. We talked about this, with the Ravens organization not knowing when to let go. Right now, they are the toxic girlfriend. John Harbaugh is the toxic girlfriend that the Ravens organization do not want to let go. They're used to the feel of having a head coach for the past 14 years. Listen, Ravens, let him go. We can find somebody, and then we had to rebuild from front staff to players. Then so be it. I'd rather for us to actually get a great coach, get some solid players, and let's actually create that dynasty that I feel like the Baltimore Ravens do deserve. They've had so many great players come in the Owens Mills facility in and out for the past 26-7 years that half these guys should have got Super Bowl rings. I really feel like that. Lamar Jackson, I feel like, if he keeps on playing and keeps on elevating this game at the way he does, he deserves 5 rings. I'm putting it out there right now. If he keeps on elevating this game, if we now start building when we should have been building during his rookie contract, he will get 5 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, and when you're looking at John Harbaugh, and Joshua, I love how you brought up the slants because it made me think about something. First off, guys, when we say that coaches are dumb or they are not making the right things, that is not saying we are smarter than these coaches. It is saying other NFL coaches are smarter. So when you say someone's a bad coach, it's relative to other NFL coaches. So many times we criticize people and they're like, oh yeah, well, you'd be a terrible offensive coordinator. Yes, I would be. I could not run the Baltimore Ravens because the defensive coordinators would be so much better and the other offensive coordinators would be so much better. So saying someone is bad is relative to other NFL caliber guys at their position. That's the first thing I want to say. But when you go out there against the Miami Dolphins in a primetime game, I want to say it was a Thursday night football game.
Example.
And you go out there and you are facing cover 0 and you do not run a slant route until the 4th quarter. Mind you, the slant route worked. Unfortunately, Sammy Watkins decided to fumble the football, but the slant route worked. It beat the cover 0. He got 6, 7, maybe it was 8 yards. And then I want to say it was Javon Holland or it was the corner, Xavier Howard that got the punch out. Excellent play by them. But they waited the entire game to do that. I'm not even going to say every single coach because every single coach should know this, but every single football fan in America, if you understand the basic concept of football, you know that how do you beat the blitz? You go where it's coming from, right? Because that's where the empty space is. In a cover zero blitz, you are sending everybody on the inside. The Baltimore Ravens against cover zero were trying to do everything that was outside of the middle, which makes absolutely zero sense. Run a slant route, get people involved. All they are doing is the same exact thing. And Joshua, you brought up the doghouse. John Harbaugh never gets the doghouse. Greg Roman never gets the doghouse. It's only the players that somehow get this imaginary doghouse, even when they play extremely well. Example, James Prochet. But Joshua, I want to ask you a question right here. John Harbaugh is a man that likes to bring up a lot of players. He likes to talk highly of a lot of players. When was the last time a player that John Harbaugh praised or said, we're really excited about this guy, or, oh, we're bringing him in, he's perfect? I'm really backing this guy. Has it worked out? Because think about the recent guys. This offseason, who was it? Oh, man, Ben Mason. He's a Raven. This is the guy. I absolutely love him. I really rallied for him. Oh, this is the year. Jalen Ferguson, he's going to be a beast. I fully back him. Anthony Averett, he's going to be a Pro Bowler. This is an all-pro player. He just consistently is backing these players. Who's the now defensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers that used to play D-line for us that came out of Michigan?
Was it Jordan Davis?
No, not Jordan Davis. Oh no, Chris Wormley. Chris Wormley. I knew he had the lip tattoo or something like that, or maybe it was a tongue tattoo. That's how I remembered. He was so backing him. Oh, this is the guy. He's so good. He's always backing these guys that never turn into anybody. Where's the backing of so many other players? Because they're always like, oh, this guy, this is the guy. We don't hear him saying like, oh, James is gonna make a massive improvement this year. James ended up being the guy that got the massive improvement. It seems like he's never bringing the right guy to the table. When you have other coaches that are like, this guy's going to be special, they bring him in. For example, Kyle Shanahan is like, oh, I really believe in this Raheem Mostert guy. Kyle Shanahan absolutely loved Deebo Samuel. He was like, this guy is phenomenal. Like, I back this guy. What did Deebo Samuel do last year? He was arguably the best receiver in the NFL, arguably as good as Cooper Kupp. John Harbaugh is not backing the guys that turn into great players. He keeps backing guys that turn into nobodies. And I'm not saying I'm rooting against Ferguson or rooting against Anthony Averett. I want Harbaugh to be right, but he's so wrong so consistently when it comes to the players that he's bringing to the table. It's unbelievable how consistent he is at missing. He's like Ben Simmons in 3-point shots. The dude is shooting, the dude is hitting the backboard, and the dude is having to get back on defense. I don't understand why the Baltimore Ravens looked at him and said after last season, all right, let's extend you. I understand not firing him, whatever. You want to keep him there for Lamar. Now, do I agree with that? No, I felt like he should have been fired. I'm not going to say it's the Ravens' fault for not firing him. But for them to extend him.
It's Lamar's fault.
It's Lamar's fault for being too good at his job.
Literally. In 2018, this rookie that, that should have been playing wide receiver or running back, it's his fault.
Like John Harbaugh, when you're looking at it, everyone, there was so much praise for him, coming out of last year, which I get. But when we were looking at it schematically, it was a mess schematically. It was a mess schematically. It was individual players being heroics or being heroes in games. That's how they won, right? Yeah. John Harbaugh is not making that 66-yard field goal for Justin Tucker. He's not blocking that field goal for Calais Campbell. Those aren't schematic things. Actually, it was Broderick Washington schematically who got the Baltimore Ravens that block. Lamar Jackson against the Indianapolis Colts coming back. It was Lamar Jackson and it was Mark Andrews being special. Schematically, they were running the exact same thing pretty much. Lamar just said, they said, okay, Lamar, go up tempo. What does go up tempo mean? Oh, you're kind of calling it now. Lamar, take control, save us. And he goes out there and he's just, finding Mark Andrews. It's not like the defense was stopping anybody. The Colts scored on every possession except for the one that Calais Campbell got that field goal block. It wasn't something where it was like, oh, the whole team stepped around like the Patriots in what was it, Super Bowl 50 against the Falcons, where the final score was like 34-28, where the defense started stopping the Falcons. No, the Ravens weren't stopping the Colts. They kept scoring. That, schematically, they weren't doing anything. Like, yes, he did a good job. The players played well, but it was individual performances that were getting them the victory. It was not schematics. Schematics was actually losing them games. Look at the Rams game. Oh, what happens at the end of the game? Oh, they're running slants against our blitz. If only someone on the Baltimore Ravens knew. They came out and said it. Was it Wink Martindale, or was it Greg Roman, or was it John Harbaugh that said, man, I really wish we, since we go up against it in practice all the time, you would think we have a handle on it. We should have a good understanding of it. The cover zero. That's all the Ravens ran on defense, and yet they couldn't beat it on offense because they don't adjust. Greg Roman doesn't adjust. John Harbaugh doesn't adjust. Wink Martindale doesn't like to adjust. He is very aggressive. I think Wink Martindale is solid at his job. His defense just didn't fit what the Baltimore Ravens were doing, and he should have adjusted. Yeah. But John Harbaugh is not someone that likes to make changes. That is something that has been very true about him his entire tenure in Baltimore. That, he wanted to stay with Joe Flacco. That was his belief. Joe Flacco, guys, yes, major love to Joe Flacco for winning the Baltimore Ravens that Super Bowl. Like, major love for that. He did a great thing. But John Harbaugh kept saying, like, no, we're going to keep going. Like, bring him back. We're going to keep doing this. Then eventually, Ozzie Newsome had a parting gift to the Baltimore Ravens. It was like, I'm out of here. Like, you can't get mad at me anymore, John. I'm bringing in a new guy by the name of Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson ended up not playing until Joe Flacco gets hurt. Yeah. And everyone sees, oh, wow, this is what a good quarterback, this is what an elite quarterback looks like. We haven't seen this since the 2011 playoffs. It's been a very long time, but he doesn't like to fire his coordinators. He doesn't like to fire his coaching staff. The one change that the Ravens made this offseason, which I'm not going to say was a bad move, but they bring in Kerry Dixon as an assistant quarterback coach. You can't tell me the one need that this coaching staff needs is an assistant quarterback coach. What about an offensive coordinator? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, it's not like he fired Wink. They mutually agreed to part ways. And he brought back, I think it was a good hire. I'm not against the hire of Mike McDonald, but he brought back one of his own guys because he can't get anything new. He goes with his buddy Greg Roman out of high school football because Greg Roman worked with Jim. He failed with Jim, but he worked with Jim. John Harbaugh has played his entire life not to lose, and playing not to lose will only get you so far. If you want to win a Super Bowl, if you want to create a dynasty, you have to attack. Okay? You have to attack. There are, this isn't one of those boring boxing matches. You can't be, Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest fighters of all time. No shade to Floyd Mayweather. But you can't go out there and say, all right, we're going to have the judges decide this. Because judges don't win you football games. Right?
It's got to be a Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury.
Yeah, you gotta get up there like your prime Mike Tyson, and you gotta knock him out. Now, you can play defensive like Muhammad Ali. You can be defensive, but in the end, you gotta be standing over your opponent, not looking over at the sideline where the refs are, where the judges are, saying, "Did we do it? Did we win?" That's what John Harbaugh likes to do. He gets down to the end situation, whether the Ravens are on defense at the goal line or they're on offense trying to tie the game, whether it's overtime against the Raiders, the game again, every single game that went down to a 2-point conversion. It all came down to these final little moments because he's trying to play where he can look at it and be like, all right, guys, you decide. It's in the last second. And unfortunately, the judges or, the players on the other team, they were capitalizing. The refs made some bad calls in Ravens games. They missed a lot of things. Lamar Jackson gets hit, taking sacks, getting hit in the helmet. He's not getting foul calls, right? No flags are being thrown.
Yep.
They're relying on that. because there's no way that the Ravens passing game is actually going to work to the point where they can get the first down on 3rd and 15. So when Lamar gets hit in the head, it's like, oh man, thank you. You bailed us out, refs. They wait on the refs to bail them out because the scheme's not going to get anybody open. And they have to hope somebody makes an illegal play so that the judges can give them that victory. I don't know. The boxing reference probably isn't perfect, but I think it gets the point across of the Ravens not like John Harbaugh. Remember in 2018, remember in 2019, even better, when the Lamar Jackson won MVP?
Yep.
Remember how the Ravens won those games? They were dropping 50 bombs, right? They were going out there. They were beating teams by 35. They were beating teams by 40. They beat the New England Patriots by double digits.
Yep.
Things that don't normally happen. They went in one of the most impressive games of the season. They play against the Houston Texans. This is a powerhouse rematch. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, they beat the brakes off of the Texans. They were striking head first, full battering ram, and they were hitting people in the mouth. And you know, like they always say, everybody's got a plan. Everyone's got a strategy until they get punched in the mouth. The Ravens were doing that punching. What happened the last 2 seasons? The big victories decreased. They got more conservative. They weren't making big changes. They were just saying, oh yeah, we kind of got this. Maybe Lamar Jackson will save us in the end. Like that's what we have. And no longer are we going out there and playing against a bad team and absolutely destroying them. Yeah, we'll beat a bad team. You know, whether it's the Chicago Bears, I think, is an example. We beat the Bears. We could have beat them by a whole lot more.
But there's no way we should be battling against one of those bad teams. I mean,
exactly.
Hell,
we're not hitting them.
What did the Miami Dolphins literally do? They changed the whole game plan. I mean, I think they had almost maybe the same amount of injured players on their team.
Yep.
And they pretty much ran a offense where, you know, it put our defense in the whirlwind. They ran trick. They almost. I think they ran almost all trick plays just about, and they was moving the ball, getting touchdowns. Chuck Clark looked confused. I mean, I'm just saying, but you know, no changes, no adjustments, no nothing.
They weren't like no longer were they, and they were aggressive in situations, but in like the wrong situations. There were no. Hey, like remember at the beginning of the year, they were trying to take these deep shots, and against the Detroit Lions, which that is the game to look at if you want to say like you need to blow them out. Now they had unfortunately Hollywood Brown had by far the worst game of his career. He dropped 3 touchdown passes. The Ravens would have won by more, but even with those, you know, maybe the Ravens win by 10 points, maybe they win by 12 points or something like that. That used to be a game where they go out aggressive and they absolutely take them by storm, but they weren't, and they were being conservative, and they were trying to sort of run the ball, but they didn't really know exactly what to do. You know, the game against the Raiders, week 1 of the Baltimore Ravens season, they go against the Raiders, and we were excited. Lamar Jackson's last game, he had gotten injured. He had gotten a concussion against the Buffalo Bills, and they came out very slowly. Yes, they had just recently had some injuries, but guys, what used to be the philosophy? If the Baltimore Ravens have a player that gets hurt, no matter if it is the best player on the team or if it's the worst player on the team, the next guy that steps in, they expect them to be able to do their job. They didn't run read option. They weren't running, you know, an attack style offense. They were playing extremely conservative against the Raiders, and it bit them in the butt because they weren't able to do anything. And that comes down to philosophy. That comes down to coaching. You had Lamar. You have Hollywood. You have Mark Andrews. You know exactly what those pieces can do. They can drop 50 points on you. They can be an explosive team. Okay. And all throughout, you know, preseason, everything like that, Sammy Watkins had shown that he was elite with Lamar Jackson.
And let's not forget, young Tyshawn was getting six yards per carry.
Exactly. He had a big time touchdown run in that game. But they saw one fumble. They saw one fumble and they're like, oh, no, we're done. It's like, okay. Yeah, that's playing to not lose. Because how are you going to beat a team if you're afraid to run the centerpiece of your offense because you had one mishap? One mishap. He played Tyshawn Williams after that game. You know, we were bigger fans of Nate McCreary,
Yeah.
but after that game, we were like, okay, you know what, Tyshawn Williams, he's all right. Like, he can do it. Then the Ravens were like, yeah, we're still afraid to let him try things, and they wanted to be as conservative as possible because they just wanted to squeak by. But the Ravens under Lamar Jackson, when they were great, they weren't squeaking by. They were blowing teams out.
They made their presence known for sure. But you know what? Quick anecdote. And guys, I know if you listen to the podcast, y'all haven't got McConnell to rant in a while, but this one right here, thank you, Ravens. You know, I love it. But I just want to bring up the Tyshawn Williams. When have you ever heard John Harbaugh ever bash a player in the pressers? I think last year was maybe one of the first years, maybe in his tenure being the Ravens head coach. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ravens Fly, TTB family. But I mean, you know, if you can't block, if you can't run, if you can't, you know, get out there on special teams, you won't see the field. It's like, whoa, that's some passive aggression right there, don't you think? I mean, you are a special teams guru, ain't you? You can't go out there and teach this young man. You know, it's times where you done took guys under your wing. Why you can't take this young man under your wing right here and get him back on the field? Instead, what we bring in a barnyard of old cattle that was barely pulling the herd. I mean, the only person that was finally getting to it was Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman started getting better over the games, over the season. But you know, John, you know, we can go on and on about John and his coaching philosophy and everything, but man, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do another 3 years. I'm still gonna be a Ravens fan, but another 3 years of this mediocrity, I don't know.
Like, the issue is, guys, I am a Baltimore. I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. That's not what I was going to say, but I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. I watched Kevin Durant. I watched Russell Westbrook. I watched them consistently make the playoffs as one of the best teams in the NBA. But what would happen in the playoffs? They would lose every single time. And then eventually Kevin Durant said, enough is enough. I'm going to leave. And he left on July 4th, 2016 to join the Golden State Warriors. Lamar Jackson could end up feeling the exact same thing. Lamar Jackson's goal is not to make the most money in history. Could he? Maybe. His goal is to win a Super Bowl. Steve Bisciotti talked about it today, saying, man, that kid, his drive is unlike anybody else. All he cares about is winning that Super Bowl. If Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh are a duo, and they are not changing things, it is going to be perpetual mediocrity. It's going to be playoffs and out. And that is going to happen consistently year after year after year. And Lamar Jackson's going to have enough, and he is going to leave because the Baltimore Ravens are choosing safety in John Harbaugh, being able to get them ticket sales and being able to get them jersey sales, and not allowing for the team to step up and actually have a chance at success. Sometimes you need to make a splash, okay? And if you can't make a splash, you're not going to win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had Jameis Winston. They won about 8 games with Jameis Winston. They said, we need a splash. We're going to go out there. Boom, they get Tom Brady. Next season, they win the Super Bowl. The LA Rams had gotten to a Super Bowl. They went with Jared Goff, a very meh quarterback. I'm not going to say bad, but very meh. Slightly below average, I'll say. They get to the Super Bowl. They end up losing to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. They go back to the playoffs. You know, they're doing all right. They have a great defense. And they say, you know what? We need more. Because just getting to the playoffs isn't enough. Yeah, we're selling jerseys, right? Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, they're selling jerseys. But we want to win the Super Bowl because that's the end-all, be-all when it comes to sports. And so they make a trade. They say, hey, we don't need these first-round picks. They were aggressive. They said, Detroit Lions, you have a guy by the name of Matthew Stafford, and we would like him. Now we will give you Jared Goff, and we will give you, I want to say it was 2 first-round picks, and they bring in Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford goes on to win the Super Bowl. He wins it. Boom. Shout out to the Rams. They did what they needed to do. Then there are all these questions about Aaron Donald. Hey, man, are you going to retire? You may hang it up after this year. He was like, yeah. I haven't made a decision yet. And then all of a sudden, Sean McVay starts talking with Aaron Donald. They win the Super Bowl. He's talking, and he's like, hey, we can run it back. That is the idea that he is putting in his mind. We can run it back. The Denver Broncos, when they won that Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, there was no way they could run it back with Peyton Manning. There was no way they could win it. But Aaron Donald was like, yeah, we have Stafford under contract. We have Ramsey. We have Cooper Kupp. We have Leonard Floyd. And we have myself, the best player in football. You know what? I'll come back. Let's build that dynasty.
And who else did they just add from the Midwest? Allen Robinson.
Exactly. They also, mid-season, made a trade for a guy by the name of Odell Beckham Jr. They wanted to continuously improve. They are being aggressive. I want to say they haven't had a first-round pick. Yeah, their last first-round pick that the Los Angeles Rams have, do you know who it was?
Was it Jared Goff?
It was Jared Goff, number 1 overall. That was the last time they had a first-round pick. That is forever ago. They keep trading them because they are being aggressive. I'm not saying the Ravens need to trade every single one of their picks. I'm saying they just need to be aggressive, not only with the acquisitions that they make, because I feel like they've done that. They've been aggressive this offseason, and I commend Eric DeCosta for that. Hopefully Lacey gives him a good high five, after this offseason. Just round of applause for Eric DeCosta right there. Love him. He's been doing a fantastic job. But not only is it about being aggressive in acquisitions, it's being aggressive in philosophy, being aggressive in play style, and trying to change things up. John Harbaugh's not doing that. That's why he got extended, was because he was doing enough. But doing enough doesn't win you the Super Bowl. It can get you an A. It can get you a C, right? If you're trying to graduate high school or get through college and stuff, you just need a C, right? To pass the class. That's okay. But let's say, your goal, maybe your family's pressuring you, or your ultimate goal is you want to be the president of the United States. That's the ultimate goal. Or you want to be a doctor or a high-end lawyer. Well, you're going to have to get into a good college, and so if you want to become the lawyer, AKA win a Super Bowl, you want to do that? You don't do that by getting C's of barely making it. You have to work your butt off, and you need to get A's to get into school. You got to get A's in your next school so then you can apply and pass the bar exam and then become a lawyer. Then you have to work your tail off, working in the lower levels, then you get partner and all that stuff. John Harbaugh right now is going for the diploma. He's going to, and there's nothing wrong with getting a diploma and that being it. That's totally fine. But when your goal is not to get the diploma, it's to get the PhD or whatever it is, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to succeed in winning a Super Bowl if you're having mediocre coaching carried by a great all-time talent, but flopping in the playoffs every year. You can't win a Super Bowl. By definition, if you keep losing in the playoffs every single year, you can't win the Super Bowl. And John Harbaugh's not doing anything to change his playoff performances. The Ravens aren't doing anything to change John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh's not doing anything to change Greg Roman. He's getting C's. The Ravens are awarding him for C's when they are trying to get the PhD in that Super Bowl. It's not happening. This hiring or this extension, I think, is horrendous. I think it is one of the worst possible things they could do for this organization, for Lamar Jackson, because, yeah, you want Lamar to stay, but I'm going to be honest, guys. If Lamar Jackson doesn't win a Super Bowl, if somebody told me, hey, you get to have Lamar Jackson on your team for the next 4 years, guaranteed, but guaranteed he doesn't win a Super Bowl, I'm going to say, let him walk. Okay? I want to win a Super Bowl. Whatever gives the chance of winning the Super Bowl, that's what I want. If Lamar Jackson leaves because John Harbaugh is fired, that's fine with me. Because Lamar Jackson with John Harbaugh's not going to get it done.
Yeah.
That was by far the longest rant we've ever done, or I've ever done.
At this point, it's worth it though. It's worth it. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wonder how many people actually got to the end of this. I think honestly, this should be just its own segment. We can record the next couple segments later and post this.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is 55 minutes of ranting about John Harbaugh.
I mean, you know, this is 26th anniversary. We talked about, you know, some of our most memorable moments. Also, the most memorable moment for me is being on Lamar's highlight tape of 2019. Me and Moms, we was at the New England. We was at the New England game Sunday night football. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, this is a intense statement. Topic within itself. So yeah, we can definitely recap it. Then we're live streaming tomorrow too. So
yeah, I think what I'm going to do, guys, this is going to be uploaded tomorrow morning. It's going to be uploaded on Wednesday, definitely on the podcast platforms. We will be also going live on Wednesday, so make sure to check that out. Soon we will record, you know, what was supposed to be the other parts of this episode, but we just decided to keep it going. This was not planned to be a sole John Harbaugh discussion, but I think it ended up being all right. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I always love coming out with these passionate videos, I'll call them. But guys, thank you so much for watching, for listening. If you made it all the way through, let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're all Ravens fans. You can have your own opinion. I'm not going to fault you for that, even if it's wrong. But it's all good. That was a joke, guys. You know, no opinion is wrong except for the ones that are. But thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the Apple Podcast, and we will see all of you again with our next live stream, which is on Wednesday night.